This is a summary. Charlie and I took off from Sarasota Bay, and we pretty much had an uneventful time coming down through here. It took us about 4 days to get here. It was around 400 miles. Light winds. When we come around the point here, I come around here at night, we had 4 to 6 foot seas and a headwind when we come around this point here. And I come through there at night. I come in tight, probably much tighter than I should have. And Charlie slept through the whole thing, I think. But I was motoring at this point, coming around here, and we motored a large portion of this because I felt the boat was overloaded and I was concerned about weight issues, so we decided to burn off the weight with gas. So about 4 days to get to this point. When we come around here, probably around in this area here, I noticed something, or decided to check the boat, or something happened there that we actually got out. I got out into the water and swam underneath the boat and noticed stress fractures in the center belly from impacting on the waves, just heading straight into the waves when we come around that corner, and it just continued. So we pulled out some the big anchors and the dinghy and the dinghy motor out of the anchor bay, thinking that it was from the movement of the boat and the weight of those items beating outward. And so we continued then, and then within a day or so we actually had a very large hole developing in the belly of the boat, and we started to take on water inside the boat. The floor started to tear away from the belly of the boat right across the kitchen area, and we were able to address this with ratchet straps and ropes through the floor, and Charlie actually held on to me as I reached through the hole that was broken out of the belly, and I reached underneath there and tied washers onto the ropes as they was hanging below the boat through some holes that I had drilled in the boat. And then we came back inside and tightened these ropes up with ratchet straps, and that worked pretty effectively on stopping further damage. But then the boat started to have a tear down the starboard interior wall. Started to separate from the floor, started to separate from in the cabin area, and this I was not able to repair, so to speak. I had to just deal with the water, and we started to have a large amount of water coming into the boat, and was fighting this. We somewhere along the line here in this area, we hit a gale, a little storm, and within seconds we were doing 10-15 miles an hour, and I was worried about just flooding the boat, so we were trying to manage, and the front sail got away from us. I was trying to get it in, and it came in about 3/4 of the way, and then the rope broke and it popped back out real hard, and then it just eventually, once I couldn't get it in at that point, then we tightened it back down, and it just finally ripped to shreds in that storm. So then we had no front sail, so we were looking to just try to motor our way in. So we got within 12 miles on our 7th night, and we were out of gas. 12 miles, and we could see fireworks going off on the island, and we decided to hold about a half a gallon of gas just to get us out of the way of ships or whatever. And we radioed for help as far as gas. We needed them to bring us some gas, so we let them know that we were not in an emergency situation, but we would need gas to get into port, that we had damaged sails and was unable to maneuver the boat effectively. We'd been taking on a lot of water. Somewhere in this area due to the water damage and everything. The boat was a lot lower in the water, and we ended up losing both autopilots due to just splashing and water going on. So anyway, on the 8th morning, these guys showed up and tossed us 20 gallons of gas over to us, and we got underway. And that morning, probably an hour or two afterwards, our bilge pump locked up and it would no longer function. So then we were forced to bail by hand, and things got really serious at this point because we knew where we had to be. We got within 12 miles the night before, but then we drifted probably close to 20 out, and so we had what I thought was a hard 8 hours, and it turned out to be like a 16-hour trip back in. Anyway, you saw the videos where we did different things, and we managed to get in. Charlie was driving the whole time, and I was just keeping the boat afloat. That was my job that I decided to take care of, and it worked out. As a team, we got the boat in, and about 2 minutes before we hit the dock, I stepped up on the top there and drove us in, and we tied off, and the dock master told us that he didn't think we should tie off here because he thought our boat was going to sink. And I'm standing on the side telling him we've been fighting to keep this boat afloat for 5 days, and it's going to be fine. And probably a minute or two later, Charlie had gotten off and was smoking a cigarette, and within a minute of that dock master telling me that and me telling him that it's going to be fine, it was going down. As near as I could tell, some plugs I had in the floor underneath the sink area had popped out, and it was allowing the water to come in because the boat was listing so bad, and I was not aware that those plugs had popped out, and we were just trying to bail and it was just coming in. We ended up cutting off and moving the motor on the port side up onto the dock. We threw the dinghy motor up on the dock, and I had came into the cabin to get documents off the boat, and I had broken a lantern onto the floor and then promptly stepped on it. I had taken my shoes off probably a day or two before because my feet had been wet for 3 or 4 days, and my toes and everything was just like hamburger. It was just, skin was all messed up. So that put us here, and that put us sunk. 8:30 on a Sunday night, crew of guys showed up, and while I was in the hospital, they got my boat popped up. And these guys was headed by a man named Chris, and for the life of me I can't remember his last name, but he is the manager or owner of Harbor House Marine. And these guys are unbelievable men. They helped us out in pretty much every way they could, and he actually pulled me out of the water and put me on the dry in his marina for approximately a month, and I was able to work with a man that works for him, and he did some work on my boat basically in his off time, and we traded a lot of this out and then worked out the rest of it in cash, and they got me back in the water. My first mate had flown back to the U.S., and he was handling getting sales and autopilots and stuff like that to get me up and running again, and he put a box together and shipped it down to me. And then at that point we put the boat back together. I put it back in the water, and then I went from there to Santa Marta.